Hello again, and welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Rural Report. I am your Rural 2IC, and today we're going to talk about something that kind of goes along with the mini series. Somebody kind of was having a conversation. We're going back and forth a little bit, talking about some stuff, and I almost kind of wanted to put it in, but it doesn't quite fit, but it deserves to be talked about. So, we're just going to make a video about it, right? And so, what am I going to talk about today? It's going to be places for resources. So, in an SHTF situation, you're going to need supplies and resources. So, while it's a good idea to go ahead and stockpile that, obviously now the things, the supplies, all that you're going to need for you, your family, your mag, your tribe, whatever you have, it's a good idea to get those stuff now and to have them kind of squirreled away. But depending on the situation and the length of the time of that situation, there may arise a need to venture out and gather more materials, supplies, resources, items, whatever you want to say. So, in this video, I just kind of want to touch, on some of these things and kind of get the ball rolling and plant the seed and get a few of these ideas out there. So, the first thing I kind of want to touch on is land. They're not making any more land. Land is what it is what's out there, is what's available, but doesn't necessarily mean that you can't kind of add this into your preps. Now, depending on where you live, things like playgrounds, vacant lot, or even that kind of decorative strip that sits out front, they can all be upcycled into a food production plot. Now, you're going to have to also be kind of careful about how you do this, and you're going to have to really kind of think about it and how to formulate a plan on how you're going to use it, security, who has access to it, all the stuff like that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't even start some of that now. So, going out to certain places, you can plant things like a fruit tree, berry bush, or other natural things that like wild strawberries or wild onions or things that come back every single year. They're kind of that repetitive food. And so you still have to be strategic. You have to make sure that you place it in an area that somebody's not going to just rip it back out, or anything along those lines. It's going to be in a place where somebody's not going to mind, or even they might not even care that it's there, right? But if an SHTF situation arises, you have that residual, basically low to no maintenance food source. So, moving on, is a library. Now, this is either one that a lot of people think about, or this is one that nobody has thought about. And they provide a lot more than I think a lot of people realize. Now, while yes, we're kind of in that new age where a lot of the materials and things are going into a digital aspect, there's still a great deal of physical books full of knowledge within those walls. Okay. And you have to take advantage of that. There's a bunch of how to videos. There are books, right? There's a bunch of those that will be able to teach you things and give you the knowledge, and kind of teach you the skill, to where maybe you need a little refresher course, or maybe you need something to where there's an electrical problem, and maybe you can go in there and find an electrical book, one of them electric things for dummies or something like that, and it'll get you by. But you also have to take advantage of everything that's in there. So even fictional books can provide things like entertainment, helping basically anybody's mental health, right? We're all going to have that free time, a little bit of time to relax and unwind. And so being able to read, just some storybooks, some graphic novels, or anything along those lines is really going to kind of help. Now, there's also children's books, and those will help keep children entertained, as well as there's educational children's books to help them learn as they grow and develop. Now, moving on, it is a building, right? It's got four walls and a roof for the most part, and that provides shelter. It might be a long-term shelter, it might be a temporary shelter, but it also could provide a little bit of security. Most people are going to run around and go to bigger places, maybe the Walmart or a gun shop or something like that. And so you might have a at least temporary building that has a lot of resources that you can use just as a bit of shelter and a bit of security. Now, one last thing before we move on is that people do work in libraries, right? There is librarians and other things. And so there's a chance that you may stumble upon something like a snack drawer. It might have some candies or some sort of other things in there that you can either eat or drink. And so you can take advantage of anything along those lines. Depending, there may even be a vending machine or something along those lines that you can do, as well as any of those nonsensical books like tax codes or anything like that. It's a fuel source, right? You can use it to burn, you can use it as insulation. There's a lot, and a lot of books even have blank pages that you can rip out to take notes or do various things with. So, moving on is going to be food and water. Now, this you're going to have to be a little bit more creative in your thinking, pull out your critical thinking hat, if you will. So when we go into that, if we just randomly ask, 100 people, or where would you go in an SHTF situation for food and water? And a lot of them are going to come up the same. They're going to pop up things like restaurants, supermarkets, convenience stores, and all the obvious places like that, because they're as we said, obvious. They're going to get hit the hardest. More than likely, they're going to get hit first. And so you have to kind of be creative and think, where else could I go? So there's what I like to call second tier. And these are going to be places like bars or taverns, school buildings for their cafeterias, and even just those little mom and pop shops usually have some sort of like a candy or a potato chip section. Okay. Now, granted, yes, anything along those lines is probably not the healthiest of choice, but we're talking about survival. So, some sort of calorie intake or something to drink is going to be good. Yes, I know I'll get it to where soda or alcohol or whatever makes you urinate more and it actually dehydrates. And that's great. But we're talking about in the moment where you need some sort of liquid to drink or something to eat, something in your stomach. So they're going to help out in the short term, giving you more time to be able to find something better, for yourself. Now, there's also what I like to call tier three places. And these are going to be basically any sort of commercialized building, places like a mechanic shop, office buildings, roadside rest stop, things like that. And what you're looking for is things like a vending machine, a lunchroom, anything along those lines that have the potential of finding something to eat or drink. Just to give you an example, if you are somewhere and there is a 5-story office building, okay, each floor has 10 offices in it, then that really produces the possibility of having about 50 chances of finding some sort of snack or two in one of the drawers, okay? Just imagine if every single person had, something. There was a bag of potato chips, there was a thing of candy, there was small cup of pudding, whatever. You could literally find, a week's worth of food in just one single building. So make sure you don't overlook that. Okay, now the last one we're going to kind of touch on is going to be medical. And again, if we kind of take that same survey, things like Walmarts, drugstores, hospitals, clinics, all those, they're obvious. They're going to be the ones that get hit first. They're going to be the ones that people flock to first. And so we kind of have to, again, throw on that critical thinking hat and think outside the box. Well, uh, as much as some of us probably curse OSHA, they're actually going to be a little helpful because they've basically mandated that anywhere that has employees must have a first aid kit hanging on the wall. Well, in an SHTF situation, that same first aid kit can be easily lifted off the two little mount screws. And a lot of them have a very convenient carrying handle that you, within seconds, can walk away with a decent little medical kit, right? So, keep an eye on stuff like that. Now, you can also check things like while you're in the school, go to the school nurse's office. You're not looking for surgical stuff, so to speak. We're looking for anything, whether it is some sort of headache medication, gauze, band aids, anything from rubbing alcohol or whatever, any sort of medical supplies. So that would also include things like a dentist office or even a veterinarian office. Okay, we're looking for supplies. Now, to kind of wrap this up and give some final thoughts is there's a huge list that we can go over when we're talking about something like this. Okay, there's no shortage of ideas and places, and the purpose of this video is not to sit here and spoon feed you everything. It's a rather to get your mind working. Okay, get the creative juices flowing and get you to start thinking about everything. So I want to kind of issue a little thing as you move around throughout the next week or so, kind of look around yourself, okay? Take mental notes, jot them down of places that you might be able to find various supplies. What it is, where that place is, and what kind of supplies would be in there in case of an emergency situation, okay? Um, and one of the things that you can do, maybe on a rainy day or whatever, is grab your phone or computer, pull up some sort of map around your area, and do an area study. Locate places nearby on, maybe that street that you hardly ever go down. There might be something there that you never, even thought of, or maybe it's a place that you have forgotten about. And the reason why I kind of want to say this is because if an SHTF, you know, event happens, then having that list and being able to pull it out in that situation, I think you might actually be happy that you took, this serious and you made a list, right? So, uh, just again, this is just to kind of touch on the subject. This is just to get the ball rolling, to kind of open your eyes a little bit and say that there's more out there, okay? Uh, Pull out a piece of paper, spend 10 minutes and talk to your friends, your family, your loved ones, your mag, your unit, your tribe, your group, whatever it is, and start coming up with some of these ideas. If we run out of medical supplies, where can we go? If we run out of food or water, where can we look? It's going to take and help that if we're into, say, a year-long SHTF situation, you don't want to be down to where you have a day's worth of food and water and go, okay, we need more. Where do we go? Okay, this is preparing, this is prepping, is to do this ahead of time. So do it now. Okay, think about it now. The event happens, then you can start pulling that list out and going, all right, we've got 2, 3 weeks left of food. Where can we go? Maybe we don't wait 2, 3 weeks. Maybe as soon as an SHTF situation happens, maybe it's time to go out and gather the supplies before other people do. You're just going to have to make that decision up for yourself. But that's what I've got for you guys today. So if you made it this far in the video, guess what? You rock. I appreciate you for spending a little bit of time with me. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you guys have a blessed day. And stay tuned because there's definitely more information to come. And with that, I want you to remember to always remain united because we're all prepping in this together.